Uh-oh. All right, okay, we're returning from our recess, and we just heard public comments, and so now I'd like to give the applicant a chance to respond.
Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate all the comments, and obviously we don't agree with many of them, but I'd like to take the time and kind of go through the overriding themes that I think tonight with traffic, silky Sullivans, and affordable housing. That's the overriding. There's a few other minor comments, but I'll call them the overriding ones. So traffic. First of all, yes, we all have to acknowledge that there is this great 405 project taking place, and it has thoroughly disrupted the city. The bridges going down, the interchanges being closed. It's causing a lot of congestion. That's going to go away, and it will be that project will be finished in 2023 at the end of the year. All the interchanges will have two lanes of on and off ramp instead of the one that they had before the project. Bridges will be wider. The 405 freeway is going to be way wider. So there's going to be a lot of relief there. Now, one could say that traffic, yes, but there was bad traffic before. Why isn't it going to be, how is it ever going to get any better? The traffic before was because the interchanges were old, the bridges were narrow, the freeway didn't have enough lanes. Those old traffic issues were in the past. We're now talking about what it's going to be like with the new project at the end of 2023. And our project, if approved this evening, wouldn't even come online until 25. So there would be ample time for that freeway improvements to be complete. I've already mentioned earlier about commuter patterns changing. They have. That's a reality. I think if you polled all of the employers that you have in town, all of your friends, everyone, is everybody going back to work 5 days a week from 8 to 5? You would find, no, we're on a flex schedule. We're working at the office 3 days a week or 2 days a week or 1 day a week or no days a week. These patterns are that pattern is going to become more and more prevalent in the future. So I understand that everybody is always concerned about, oh, how can you have this many units and not affect traffic? Traffic patterns will change. The freeway will be better. The on and off ramps will be better. And then the third leg of that stool is when you build homes that are close to the jobs, you also reduce traffic. That's the third leg of the stool. So if we can bring, as I said earlier, bring the housing to the jobs, you can solve a lot of these equations. Right now, a lot of our employees in town, I'm sure, are driving south on the 405 and live in South County, or they live north in Long Beach area, or they're going way out east into the Inland Empire. We can alleviate all of that by bringing housing to the jobs. That's my comment on traffic. On Silkies, I get it. I understand you have this restaurant you love. We've had restaurants where I live that I've loved have gone away. I just noticed this morning, Kiriyama, my favorite Japanese restaurant, gone. Ritz, my partner's favorite restaurant, gone. Yes, it's a sad day. There's a lot of history. We can remember all sorts of events we celebrated. But as one member of the council said, the owners of Silkies sold. They leased back. That lease is up at the end of January. And that's, I'm hoping that Wallace's solution works, because we would love to see that happen across the street in New Silkies in the same neighborhood. But it's a change, and it's not necessarily a change that is linked to our project approval tonight. whether silky stays or not. It's not necessarily linked to whether this project is approved. So I'm sorry about that. We have taken it to heart. We would like to see a silky-type restaurant back on that corner. We would love it. It's a neighborhood thing. Everybody loves it. But we can't control what Bill Madden wants to do and what he can do. The door is open for him. That's all I can say. On affordable housing, a lot of comments on that. First, there's no HUD housing. We're not going to get any money. I just want to clear that. I never said anything about HUD. The affordable units, actually, the fact that we're building, we call it luxury because if you don't call it luxury, then people think it's affordable. It's luxury in that it's market rate luxury. It's got all the amenities. That's the point. It's not, and I'm sorry if this gentleman saw Bentleys and high-end cars, but there weren't any because I fleshed that out early on when that movie was created. So if you go back and look again, there aren't any Bentleys or Ferraris there. Just to clarify that. So affordable housing really is, the solution to affordable housing comes from market rate units being built and having an affordable component. That's the way it's going to happen. And so having more market rate, getting a bigger supply is going to ease the demand. And we're going to end up with rents that match up to our tenants. If you have no supply, landlords can charge you whatever they want because there's no supply. So let's get housing where it should be, close to the jobs, and get it in balance, and prices will flatten out or go back. Another point, a lot of people have said that they can't afford to buy homes. But in Fountain Valley, their kids have graduated, they're making a good salary, they can't afford to buy a home here. Fountain Valley's not necessarily the place for a starter home. It used to be. In 1970s, it was a place for starter housing. It was a perfect spot for commuters from Long Beach primarily, and from around Orange County. This was a perfect spot for affordable housing. Those days are gone. I mean, the dynamics have changed, and if you want an affordable house, you're going to have to go out into the Inland Empire first, and then work your way up to Fountain Valley. I'm sorry, but that's the change that's happened in 50 years. Change is hard. We've all said that over and over again. Change is hard. Look, I've changed in 50 years. I don't like what I see either, but I have had to accept that change happens. Those are the three topics. I do want to address the comments from that were the canned speech that came from this paralegal at Lazo Drury, the attorney, speaking on the environmental issue. Our team, our environmental consultants, and the city's environmental consultants have already responded to all of their comments and concerns. And they are the same comments that they've been making over and over for every single multifamily project in Southern and Northern California. This is nothing new. We've addressed it all. They have never made their case. They've never proven any of their claims. And I just wanted to put that to rest. Parking. I still stand by the comments that I made earlier about us having adequate parking. And when we have parking for restaurants and gallery, et cetera, those numbers already anticipate employees. So yes, there will be enough parking for employees in the parking garage. And then the sunlight. I just want to be clear on that. The units across the street on El Corazon are at least 100 feet away from us, and our buildings are well set back. So I would not expect any difference in sun every day. As to the same on the Havens to the east, the nearest unit is about 100 feet away from our unit. In between is a parking lot, carports on both sides, landscaping, a little bit of landscaping, et cetera. So we have done a sunshade study as part of our analysis, and we have not created any shade that's going to destroy the lifestyle of the Haven's apartments or the apartments behind us. So I wanted to clear that up. And I think, unless anybody has any other questions, I think that concludes my comments from this evening.
Thank you. Councilmember Bowie, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. There was a resident in the audience here, and her concern was dust and the hour of constructions. So is there a plan to mitigate the dust during construction and the construction hours?
Well, yes, construction hours, conditions of approval limit our construction hours to reasonable time. We'll have construction fencing. There won't be any undue noise. There's no pile driving, and that came up in last month, but there's no pile driving here, no big shaking. Yeah, you know, construction's not tidy. That's the price for progress. I mean, your house, if your neighbor remodels their house or tears it down and builds a new one, you're going to be dealing, I've been dealing with that for the last several years. I can't even tell you how long. It's not tidy. But a good company does the best to protect, you know, based on schedules and construction fencing, to do the best they can to mitigate dust.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
I do.
Oh, Mayor Pro Tem Constantine?
Okay, so, gosh. So, Peggy, I have a few questions. I'm sorry. I know somebody asked about live music, but as we know, we don't know who's going to go into that space if this is approved by council member majority. So I want to clear that up. So we don't know about music. And let's see here. What about the visitor and guest parking? Where will they park?
Okay, so we do have guest parking. I forget the exact number off the top of my head, but we do have it's in our package. We do have guest parking, and the guests will be parking on the top level of the parking structure.
Okay.
You asked me about live music.
Yeah, but if we don't know what's going to go in.
In fact, we have postponed the issue of the CUP for the restaurant because we don't know who the operator is or what they want to do. And there were a number of questions on the application, hours, music, that we can't answer. It's all speculative. Sure. So when we come back for a CUP and we'll have a restaurant operator in tow, if it's Bill Madden, great. If it's somebody else, they will address all of those issues. And if there is live music, you know, that's a special aspect of the CUP, I'm sure.
Sure. So when we saw the video of the project, you said that the Havens carports were scaled way too high, to clarify that they're actually smaller. So, I mean, this project is very, very large. And quite frankly, parts of it are not the housing element, but the other elements. The elevator makes it 7 stories, if I'm not correct, 76 feet. I know in the plans it talks 74 or 73, but it's really 76 feet.
So just to clarify that, you need an elevator access to the very top level. If you're going to have parking, if you're going to have a roof deck, because that's for emergency services. You want to make sure that somebody has a problem up there, so that you build an elevator, even if somebody could walk themselves. So that's the elevator. That's the tip of that elevator. It's in one spot. It's up. It's just one spot. The rest of it is, our average height is 54 point some feet, 54.6 feet.
Okay. The trash, the trash situation, it was brought up by the Planning Commission, and considering the fact that also the restaurant trash is going to go there too, that's a lot of trash. I mean, it's a lot of trash. You're talking the facilities you provide, the restaurant, the art gallery, residents, of course. That's a lot of trash.
Yes, we had hired a trash management consultant who worked with Republic and the city, making sure that we had allocated enough bins to accommodate all units plus all of the commercial uses. And we're going to have daily pickup. So
what happens if what if there's a lot of trash and there's a big trash situation? Quite frankly, I'm happy that the trash can't be on the street. Honestly, right. I am. But what happens if something goes awry?
Like a trash,
Well, not necessarily a trash strike, but the fact that a lot of,
well, there are a number of conditions in the conditions of approval that preclude us from having a trash mess, that it becomes our problem. If we have to hire people to drag the trash to wherever it needs to go, if Republic is on strike or some other company is on strike, that becomes our problem. There are a number of conditions in the conditions of approval dealing with trash,
sure.
and that will be enforced.
So what about the parking garage? What about noise from the parking garage, specifically horns and noise, loud, I don't know, motorcycles? How soundproof is it? Is it soundproof?
Well, it'd be more soundproof than just your motorcycle cruising down the street, so it would be a little more muffled. But people, I do know motorcycle riders, and several of them, they're not gunning it in a parking garage. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, you've got some loops, and so I wouldn't worry about that. Honking of horns, it's occasional, maybe. There won't be, I think it's a concrete structure.
Okay, so San Mateo is really, really busy, and I got to tell you, it's not busy because of the freeway improvement project. Warner is too far away, Warner where it's impacted, down there by Bouchard, and then Ward, so there's nothing there. I actually called Carmel Village, Park Pacific, Crystal Springs, Serena Vista, the Haven, Solana Walk, and the Ayers Hotel. And I can tell you, and mind you, I did not add in the 2 Sonesta Hotel properties nearby, nor did I include all the nearby homes by Silky's, with the thousands of people. Okay, so when I added up all the apartments and nearby housing, I got 1,631 units, approximately, I figured 3,620 residents to include staff members. And then when I add in the Valley Park apartments at Slater and Euclid, just down the street, that's another 160 residential units. And I factored in like 380 residents and staff. So basically, between Valley Park at Slater and Euclid and then all down San Mateo, not including all the homes right by Silky, and there's a lot with a lot of people, I already got 1,791 already existing residential units, again, to include the Ayers Hotel, and I got about 4,000 residents and staff members. There's a real concern here about police and emergency vehicles. I can't get that out of my head. And I am so dissatisfied with what transpired with the Planning Commission. I can't even tell you. We have a couple of engineers on the Planning Commission, and I don't believe that they did their due diligence. I've been studying this thing for hours. I have printed, you asked me something, I can pull you the answer real quick here. Are we even going to talk building height at this point? I kind of don't think so, and talk about the mixed-use element.
Do you have a question for?
Well, I do. I say I'm very, very concerned about the one way in and one way out in the parking garage. I mean, it's a beautiful project, but it's just.
Are we deliberating?
No, I'm not deliberating. I'm just voicing my thoughts. That's a real busy area already. And we want to add a lot more people and a lot more vehicles with one way in and one way out. It's a lot.
The area can support it. Can support a project.
Can't support it now, Peggy.
Is there a question that I should be answering?
I guess not.
I have a question. What do you expect the rents to be for the places?
Well, it's hard to forecast into the future, but I would say we're in the 1,800s to mid 3,000s. We have some large units. We have some, top floor is going to get the premium. 1,250 square foot apartment, 3 bedrooms. That's going to command a fairly good price. We only have 4 of them. So
So the affordable ones, they're I guess 80% of the median. How does that sort of translate into rent for some?
So they can only.
Can I?
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, I've got the current rent rates for Orange County for affordable units for that moderate or low 80%. For a studio would be $1,884 a month. 1 bedroom, $2,018 a month. two-bedroom, $2,422 a month, and a three-bedroom, $2,798 a month. Those would be the maximum rents for that 80% affordability today.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there are no more questions, we'll deliberate now.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
All right, let's take turns, and who wants to start? Councilmember Bowie, you'd like to kick us off here?
If you say so, Mayor,
All right.
we'll go ahead and start. Well, today I'm hearing a lot of public mentioning that the project doesn't fit there. But yet I'm looking on the different side of the spectrum, on the legal issue side. Council Granite mentioned that Silky Sullivan has sold the place willingly for over $2 million. So where is the legal standing for asking Silky Sullivan to stay and asking council not to have this project moving forward from the new property owner? You're asking the developer to keep Silky Sullivan. But this question is more for the owner of Silky Sullivan, as she mentioned earlier. It is up to Silky Sullivan willing and able to continue the business, as I'm not hearing the developer is blocking them from continuing their business. Yes, Silky Sullivan business will be disrupted, and there's no doubt about it. But that is part of any construction. Secondly, should council choose not to move forward with this project because it is an iconic restaurant that has served the community for many years? Do you really understand what's really happening here? The developer can take this up to the state, and this council will completely lose local control. And at that point, it could be a 10-story building. And you have all heard from the city attorney that it's very difficult to fight against the state decision at that point. Okay, you can't hear me or you don't understand? I don't think there's no interaction.
Yeah, please let him finish, and then we're going to each have our say here.
So my point, what I've said earlier, was everybody able to hear back there? If not, I'll go ahead and repeat myself.
Now we heard.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Constantine.
Sure. Just want to, I know something came up about the construction hours. I have it here. They're between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, and between 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. on Saturday. No construction is allowed on Sunday and legal holidays. And just FYI, I was not approached by the developer for campaign contributions, nor would I ever accept. And thank you very much.
Councilmember Vo.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, during my 12 years on the council, I have touched many projects in the city. I voted to have the Hyundai building built. I voted to have the Solana Walk, which is right behind the City Hall. I remember during that time, there probably a lot more people, at least double the size of the people here in the room. And they are opposed about traffic, they are opposed about it's not fit in the community. But I was debating whether to let that empty Safeco insurance building remaining there, or to have the Solana Walk, which will bring ADA home to the city.
Thank you.
And that's where Councilmember Grandis now live, and he can walk to the council meeting. But that is a tough decision because there are so many people opposed to that project. As I'm sitting here, I'm thinking whether I will vote for the people that live in this surrounding area and think this slater investment will become an eyesore, or I'm entrusted with the responsibility of voting for the 60,000 people that live in Fountain Valley. This is tough. I heard you all. I have listened to council planning meeting. I have listened to many comments. I'm with you, Libby. I have adult children that graduated college and couldn't afford a home here. And I want him to live in Fountain Valley. I'm with you with so many in so many levels, and it's tough. But the math is very simple. If we allow 20-story high building and allow that building to have 500 units, then it will cost $1,000 a month to rent there. But if we don't allow that, then the developer have to work with their number. When I first come to the state, I live in a 35-story building, high-rise. And I lived there for over 5 years with my family. So there are some people that would think it's not my lifestyle to live in a structure, but at least there are opportunity for people to choose. Right now, my son, my daughter, they don't have many places to choose to live in Fountain Valley. I understand a lot of your thought, and I respect your opinions. Whatever you are here, explain to us your story, and I heard it. I have been there. This is a very tough decision that I have to make tonight. As I'm sitting here and I'm carrying the responsibility of a council member, I'm looking at the RENA number, 4,839 units we have to come up with. And from the last GPAC meeting that we have, if the city is not certified this number, we're going to get fined over $100,000 a month for not meeting this number. What present to us here tonight, to the community, to everybody here in this room, is not a 1 year or 1 day work. It has been working for 4 years. Our entire planning commissioner have heard over the year with this project. The tallest building in Fountain Valley, the Memorial Coast Hospital, when it was built, we have former mayor come out and oppose it. Later I met him, he said, I was wrong. Now it's the most beautiful building in Fountain Valley. The decision I made tonight, I will not make many people happy, and I will not make many people unhappy. Whatever I do here tonight, it will be a disappointment to some people, but I cast every single vote with my conscience, and I am prepared to cast my votes tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Grandis.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I want to touch on silkies first off. So, you know, I see my classmates sitting out there. You know, I know about, you know, the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, we all go over to Silkies and we celebrate, and everybody who went to Fountain Valley High School, doesn't matter what year you graduated, you all go over there. I had many birthday parties over there. I really hope, I love the idea of him going to the Rodecker building, but quite candidly, he's sold for multi-millions. I think he's ready to retire. But if not, I hope he does well. You know, I hate to see Silkies go, but it's inevitable. It was his choice. So you can't blame the developer for that. Two, So the question came up about where I live. Full disclosure, I live right over there. Like literally where the Safeco building used to be. Open up my front door, it's the police station. So I do live over 500 feet away, a little bit over 500 feet. And I'm a little surprised at Mr. Nagel there, who turned out as a council member to question my integrity on that. Not only did I go to the city attorney and say, we may have a problem here, I filed with the FPPC, the Fair Political Practice Commission, I think it's called, and got a ruling from them to make sure, for a, an abundance of caution, to make sure I can participate in this. And their ruling came back that said, yes, I can. And as the crow flies on Google Earth, I am over 500 feet. About campaign contributions, first off, we all make $500 a month here, which works out to about 12 cents an hour. That's what we get paid. And full disclosure, we started the meeting. I have very strong ties to the autism community. I donate 100% of my pay to autism, and plus a whole lot more, not just the pay I make here. So when you question my integrity, it bothers me. So the other question that came up was regarding fire safety. Mr. Nagel, who used to be the fire marshal here, questioned the safety of the fire for that, and you should know better than to question our current fire chief and fire marshal. They would not allow this project if it wasn't fully vetted with sprinklers and safety. So I don't like that at all. Councilmember Constantine stated that we have already lost local control on various issues, and she's right, we have. Let's not lose the rest of the local control that we have, the remaining bits that we get to grasp onto and hold on to, because none of you out here would want Sacramento to come down here and make these decisions for us. You don't want that, because it's not going to be the nice setbacks and the additional parkings and all that. The other thing I want to talk about that is just the elephant in the room here is this is only 5% of our arena numbers, people. This is one small project that's coming before us over the next few years. This is the tip of the iceberg. You need to be ready. Change is coming. It's beyond our ability to fight it at this point. We fought the arena numbers. We joined with OCOG. They lost. They appealed. They lost. We have to follow the rules. There's a lot more coming. So these seats are going to be filled many more times. And it's not just going to be over here. You talk about Slater, that's right over here on Civic Center. I drive it every single day. I'm affected by this. I exit right here. I live in Solana Walk. So, it's frustrating. It's super frustrating to me because, quite candidly, I'd like this to be just a great bedroom community. We don't have to change. We don't have to do anything. But that's not why you elected us. You didn't elect us to make the easy decision and just say, stick your head in the sand and do nothing. You elected us to make these really hard decisions. And quite candidly, we're going to have to make some really unpopular decisions. So, with that being said, I think what we have to do is move forward. Again, this is about 5%, and it's frustrating. It's so frustrating because, like I said, I went to Fountain Valley High School. I've lived here 40-something years. But my son had to move to Atlanta because he can't afford to live here. He can't afford a house. So unfortunately, we're going to make some tough decisions. The one thing that I do appreciate, there's two things. One is the comments, or one other thing, Libby Frolickman brought up about condos versus apartments. So Libby, I think we're going to have lots of opportunities in the other 95% of projects coming forward, and I will take that to heart, what you said, because I agree with you. We're going to need some of those in the projects coming forward. where was I going? I lost my train of thought now with that. So anyway, the point being is, you know, we're gonna have to do what we think is right. It's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be popular. Oh, the other comments that the two things I appreciate, that's what I was gonna say, is one is most everybody said it's a beautiful project. You know, it's tall, but at least it's nice and it's beautiful, and we appreciate you taking the extra steps. You know, the additional parking. She could have done 1.3 per stall. She did 1.8, and I don't think it was altruistic. I think she's right. She needs to do it in order to make sure that her residents stay there and that they're happy. The other thing I want to talk about, and then I'll finish. I'm sorry, get off my soapbox here, but I want to thank all of you. Fountain Valley is a nice place to live. You guys were all respectful of each other. There wasn't the screaming and the yelling and the, you know, name calling and all that stuff that we see in our sister cities. So I do appreciate that. It makes me really proud to be part of Fountain Valley. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make additional comments.
Yes, Councilmember Vogt.
In 2010, when I first elected to be on the council, the city annual budget was $35 million. And we serve roughly about 60,000 people. Fast forward 2022, and we still have roughly about 60,000 people. The annual budget now is $70 million. If I did not vote for the Solana Walk, it still be a empty insurance office building that generate no revenue for the city. Now Solana Walk, with all the property value, the city probably make about $250,000 annually from the revenue from that project. And as I'm sitting here with my responsibility, if I have a household of 10 people to take care, and the annual cost of living keep going up, and I have to maintain my household, I have to find maybe a better job, or maybe after my first job, I have to drive Uber to make a living so that I can support my family. And obviously, if we looking at the city as a whole, if we don't grow, if we don't find opportunity for additional revenue, the only alternate way is to raise tax or issue bond, or then it will be impact to everybody. Peggy mentioned about this project. You know, I envision that people could walk to work. When I was living in Honolulu, I just drive my bike to work. So now if there's a close enough, people can walk to Memorial Coast, you know, building to work, or they can, if they are a nurse, they can even walk to either hospital to work. And if Rodecker building and the Orange Coast Hospital empty parking lot come up with some proposal, we may have a downtown right here. You know, this is something that we can create, and we can make it together. But whatever it is a tough decision for everybody, and for me especially. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Rui.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a comment earlier on what Councilor Grandis mentioned about losing control, and Mayor Pro Tem Constantine mentioned as well. But one of the residents mentioned that Mr. Bowie received contributions, so he should recuse himself as well and not to vote for him for state assembly. This is why one of the reasons I want to run for the state assembly after the redrawing the map, because on the local level, we have lost a lot of local control. And hopefully, with the blessing with all the state assembly that have endorsed me, and Senator, we want to bring back local control to all local city. And that is my hope in doing so.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Just want to advise you not to campaign while you're on the dais here, okay? Okay, thank you. All right, well, my turn. Okay, I appreciate, first of all, I want to say thank you, everybody, for coming to the meeting and commenting, letting us know how you feel. We had a lot of people come to the Planning Commission meeting last month as well, and appreciate all their comments as well. So a couple of things. One, I want to talk about, there's been a lot of talk about how if we don't do this, somehow it's going to blow our RENA number. And the most recent plan that we sent to the housing element, this has our RENA numbers, what we're proposing. And the RENA number is 4,839 units. We've identified 11 opportunity sites plus 5 sites that are already entitled, and we adding ADUs. And so our plan is for 5,864 units. So that's a cushion of 998 units. So whether this project gets built or doesn't get built or gets built at a lower rate, we're still going to make our RENA number. So I don't agree with the comments that somehow, this is we have to do this or else. But anyway, putting that aside, I guess I asked myself a bunch of questions when I think about this project. First is this the kind of project we like for Fountain Valley? Is this something we like in the future? And I guess in some ways it has some appeal for the younger folks that may want to move in. Please let me finish. Well, you may not want it, but I'm trying to think about other people that might want it. So, is it something, it could appeal to the younger group. It's, got nice landscaping and amenities and so forth. So maybe it's a kind of project we'd want somewhere in Fountain Valley. Next thing, and it was identified as an opportunity site in the general plan update. So it's been sort of marked as a site for future development. The second thing I ask is this the right location? And, this one I have a little more trouble with, because if you look at the, when I think of something in the right location, is it's compatible with the surrounding uses? This is going to be, if you look at the Havens, for example, which is the most densely built in Fountain Valley, except Palm Island, I think, is 45 units per acre. Anyway, the Havens is 30 units an acre. This is proposed at 81 units an acre. So that's almost 3 times the density of the place next door. So I think I have a hard time arguing that it's compatible with the surrounding uses. The third thing I ask myself is, well, should we wait until the general plan update is complete? We're going to be complete in October. The applicant could have waited until October, until the plan was final, and then we wouldn't have be having this discussion about zoning. They're asking us to create a zoning change, a zoning amendment before the plan is complete, even though it's in the draft stage, and I think it's, I'm not comfortable with that. The fourth item is that the zoning itself, MU1, this mixed use 1 zoning, which is for parcels less than 5 acres. Is that really a good idea? You look at parcels that have, I think for mixed-use zoning to work, I think you really need a larger place, more units like a Bellaterra, where you can support the businesses that are going to locate or want to locate there. So, I mean, Silky's is a successful restaurant, so there may be a argument to have a restaurant there, but requiring 10% of a property to be not, commercial use in the hope that it will offset the revenue or bring more revenue to the city, I think is, I just don't think it works. It sounds good on paper, but if you look at Elon, for example, or any of those projects that have small project with first floor retail, I just don't get it. The fifth thing is, when the GPAC was debating, and they have another meeting coming up on April 28th, I'm not sure they factored in density bonuses when they were setting the zoning. I remember at those meetings, it was like, okay, we'll go this density per acre, and we're talking about an inclusionary ordinance requiring 15% inclusion. But that was not, you don't get a bonus too. That's just part of the deal. You build here, and we expect you to have 15% affordable. So I'm not sure that the GPAC considered density bonuses, and I think they may want to revisit that before finalizing the zoning in the general plan amendment. And so that's kind of my perspective on it. I think it has been marked as an opportunity site. Personally, I think it's more appropriate to do it as a lower density zoning, although it could be higher than the Havens. If you want to, Havens is 30. If you want to go 40, 50 units an acre and it's just straight housing, I'm be okay with that. But I think the mixed use zoning and 81 units an acre, well, 65 base with the density bonus, I just think is too intense for that area. And my recommendation would be to, I guess, wait until the general plan update is complete in October and then revisit the project at that time.
Mayor, I totally agree with you. I don't feel that we're going to have a conversation about the mixed use. The applicant, she said, they helped to craft the mixed use zoning code for Fountain Valley. So nothing against the applicant, but this is a whole new zoning change for this area. And I mean, are we prepared to discuss this? Because personally, I don't feel that I can have you and I can have a conversation, but I don't feel that the others are up to speed in a conversation about this. I don't mean anything insulting. I mean, I've really done my homework here, and
well,
I'm not prepared
that was a little bit insulting.
No,
so
I don't mean it that way. Nobody's bringing up this new zoning code. I mean, it's like, I feel that if I don't speak, next thing you know, it's going to be time to vote. So.
Well, you're speaking now. So.
Well, when are we going to talk about the fact that this is going to be mixed use?
Well, we're deliberating. That's part of the process. So if you have, if you want to.
Well, I agree.
Talk more about it.
The project is too dense, and the mixed use component needs to be looked at. I mean, this is a whole new. When we vote, if this is approved by council member majority, we are now setting the precedent for a lot of projects that will be before, maybe not necessarily completely this council because there's an election in November, but the next one and the next one going forward. So this is tremendously important. And I don't feel that the planning commission did their due diligence on it because they felt that city council can override it, which I know we can, but we have a planning commission for a reason. And honest to goodness, I wanted to, I forgot what the word was, but there's a procedure that I could have done, I think within 10 days of the planning commission to basically kind of reopen that. But then I didn't want to come across as somebody who's like trying to stall things. I just don't feel that due diligence was done. Some of them are engineers. We're not.
Well, one of the things we could do is we can kick it back to the Planning Commission and ask them to look at some things that we think are important or weren't looked at. I guess I'd look to the city attorney as what our options are. I think it's the well, okay, yeah. I guess what are some of the options?
For options, I think you can kick it back to the planning commission. I will note I do have my partner Bill on the line who helps staff shepherd this project all the way up through planning years. So he might have some perspective to discuss too.
Okay.
So bring Bill on.
Now, Colin, I couldn't really hear you.
We can hear you.
I heard me.
Sorry, Bill. The mayor was asking about options, about kicking it back to planning commission.
Right, I heard his. Well, you've
his was
got,
important.
just to focus everybody, what is really on your council agenda tonight are 3 legislative actions. Not adjudicative like a precise plan or where you're analyzing a project, but these are the exercise of your police powers to adopt laws for the city. And you've got the general plan, your constitution, then you've got the created zone and the application of it. You have the absolute right to send it back to the commission with, I won't say instructions as to what outcome, but to identify the issues you may want some further analysis on. In turn, you can certainly take a vote for or against whichever the council majority's pleasure turns out to be. One thing you probably need to know, and Mr. Crabtree may be helpful on this, many cities now are in your position. The state through RENA is changing everybody's life. There was some comments made that what you knew before is gone and there's a whole new future. Very true. Your quality of life is now in Sacramento's hands, and they are primarily looking at housing count, not effect on quality of life, not effect on culture, but the numbers.
Say, Bill.
So having said that, in the housing element.
Bill, hold on 1 sec. I think the mayor has a question.
Yeah. So, all right. So you answered my question. I guess we can send it back to the Planning Commission. The second question I had is, can we just sort of stall it until after the general plan, the housing element update has been completed, at which time this zoning will have been, I guess, vetted a little further?
Well, what I was going to note, your general plan, your housing element, probably for the opportunity sites that will need zone changes, probably discusses the need for a mixed-use zone. I don't know that it does, but almost every housing element I've seen this 6th cycle has that. Mixed use has become the most soft way for a city to include housing.
David is
now,
saying
to your question, pointedly, continuing it to a date uncertain is problematic, just for a number of reasons. Probably not what the applicant wants to hear, but you can deny without prejudice, meaning it can be brought back without any, I don't know if your city code has a 12-month time frame or not, but to leave it open and hanging to an undetermined date, I can't recommend that to you. So if that is what's seen as the best result, meaning wait till your general plan and included housing element are done, you can deny these 3 legislative acts tonight, but note they can be brought back once you've got the final of whatever your documents are. So that's an opportunity you might consider.
Mr. Mayor. Well, I think each council member has commented on this project, and I think we have the planning commissioner go at length debating on this. And after hearing the community comments and input from many people that come to oppose and to ask the planning commission to move forward, the vote was 4-1 from the planning commissioner to move this project forward. And tonight we are at this point deliberating on this, and there are alternatives present to us, whether we adopt, whether we continue, whether we want to request for additional information. So at this point, I would like to
Well, can I,
make a motion.
yeah,
No.
let me, before you make the motion, I'd like to dive into the MU1 zone a little bit, because we are one of the issues is the MU1 zoning, and I wonder if you could pull up that page I referenced, 1960 something. Try 1967? 3? Okay, yeah, keep going.
I have two.
Okay, right there, back. All right, so, this is the zoning that is being considered, the MU1 zoning and MU2 there. And a couple of things I'd like to point out, which may be worth sending back for further deliberation. The first is the residential density, which in MU2 is 40 units per acre over the project site. MU1, 65 units per acre. Then in the variations of residential density, it says variations for the maximum residential density are permitted as provided below. In the MU2 zone, 55 dwelling units when at least 30% of the ground floor footprint is provided as commercial retail uses. And the second bullet point, when the following condition exists, the maximum residential may be increased to 100 units per acre. The nearest property line of the perimeter of a mixed-use zone is either separated by the 405 freeway from or located at least 400 feet from the property line of an R1 zone in the city. Personally, I think the 100 units per acre is problematic no matter where it's located. That's going to be at least a 6-story building, maybe more, with a density bonus for affordable housing that could be as much as 150 units per acre. So I would certainly not like to see that in the code, in the zoning code. I think it's problematic. And then, like I mentioned before, I think the MU1 zone just by itself is not a good idea. MU2 I'm okay with, but MU1 I think we should get rid of. Let me see if I had any other ones. That was the main one. And yes, Mr. Crabtree. Yep.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to offer, if it's helpful for your deliberations, to have what limited knowledge I have, but some knowledge on the history of what has formed up the proposed mixed-use code. I'm happy to provide that, as well as any other observations that might assist, but I don't want to.
Yeah, so anyway, that's all I've said. I think, like I said, I'm not comfortable approving a zone change tonight, so.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I totally agree with that, and rushing to a vote is not a good idea. We have these legitimate parking concerns, the mixed-use zoning, traffic in this area, parking garage with the one-way in, one-way out, the dynamics of that, the building height. If we vote tonight, I'm a no. So many reasons why. This is not in the absolute best interest of this community, and I'm not going to bow down to any kind of state mandates or anything like that. the Planning Commission did not do their due diligence. And I don't mean to be offending, and I don't mean to offend here. I don't hear anybody wanting to have some dialogue about the specs on this, and I don't mean the color of the paint. I'm talking real information here. And again, I don't mean to insult, but if we get to the point where we're voting, this is over. And too many times I've sat up here and I didn't speak and it was too late. And so we can't let this be. And if we can have this go back to the Planning Commission and let them understand that they really need to take some time on this, solve some of these things for us, and then we can discuss it. Yeah, that's what I want to do. And that's what we need to do. And if anybody up here is thinking we should vote now, I mean, I don't agree with it. So whatever you guys want to do, but I really hope we take this back to the Planning Commission. They need to do their due diligence. We have a Planning Commission for a reason. And I heard, and again, I want you to know, I watched the Planning Commission multiple times. I heard the discussion. There was only one planning commissioner really wanting to get into it. I urge all of you to view it yourself. You'll see it. And the rest, we're talking the mandates and we have to, and then city council makes the ultimate decision. Oh, no. I need the Planning Commission to do their work. That is what we need, because we're going to have a lot more projects like this. And for the most part, we've heard there's 6 stories. This is a 5-story. But we know the 5-story is not really a 5-story when you stand back and look at it. So the 6-story will be even higher too. So we got to step back and really look and know what we're doing here. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I look at the MU1, I look at this page, and like Mayor Pro Tem Kim Constantine, I have watched the Planning Commissioner meeting many times, over and over. There are things that I agree with them and things I'm not. Especially all the comments from people that come up and speak. You know, I do feel for what they feel, what they've been through. But sitting up here, I'm entrusted with a responsibility, and I have to make a decision no matter what. So with that comment, Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion, which is a staff recommended action for the City Council. Alternative 1, adopt the following resolution and introduce the following ordinance for adoption. A, adopt a resolution approving a mitigated negative declaration and mitigated monitoring and reporting program in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act for General Plan Amendment number 21-01, Zoning Map Amendment number 433, Code Amendment number 21-01, and Precise Plan number 562 for the Slater Avenue Mixed-Use Project located at northeast corner of San Mateo Street and Slater Avenue 10201, 10221, and 10231 Slater Avenue, Attachment 1. B, adopt a resolution approving general plan amendment on number 21-01 to change the land use map destination from the general commercial to mixed use. 1, attachment number 2. C, introduce an ordinance approving zoning map amendment number 433 to change the zoning map destination from C1 local business to MU1 mixed use 1 district, attachment number 3. D, introduce an ordinance approving code amendment number 21-01 to create a mixed-use zoning district that include specific zoning standard for mixed-use zone, including permitted use, development standard, exception, and definition, attachment number 4. Thank you.
We'll put the next one on your street, okay?
Exactly. Yeah.
Give us your address. Let's put it on your street.
Okay, a motion. So I heard a motion, I'm not hearing a second. So, all right, I guess the motion does not carry.
No, I'm going to second it.
Oh, well, okay. You should have jumped in there. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a little discussion. I don't understand why you guys are saying we have not gone over MU1 before. We've had multiple GPAC meetings. We've had the Planning Commission go through it. We've gone through it multiple times. You asked the same question at the GPAC on the percentages. We went through this. So I don't know where, you know, Kim, you said you're the only one who's gone through it. I don't know where you were in those meetings because we've gone through this.
Yeah, Councilmember Bowie, you have a comment?
Yeah, that
Hey, audience, if you can't be quiet, we'll ask you to leave, okay? Thank you.
that is correct. And also, I want to add to it is, I'm usually the one who stand up against our staff. And here you say that our staff didn't do our due diligence. They have done their due diligence. Each and every department have done due diligence. That is why, at the end of the day, the Planning Commission vote 4-1. I'm sure they have a lot of concern. So I have to disagree that the staff didn't do their job. And, you know, as you know, each planning, it has to go from the planning to the building, to public work, to the fire department, to the police department. And each one of them put their hand in these two projects before it gets to the final planning commission. So for saying that the staff didn't do their jobs, I have to disagree.
Councilmember Bowie, we're not saying, I'm personally not saying that the staff did not do their job. I'm saying the Planning Commission did not do their job. Did you watch the Planning Commission meeting? I'm asking you, I don't want to assume. Okay. So if you heard the words of what the Planning Commission said, and I watch it so many times, I can almost go word for word, which I'm not going to do. It wasn't done. The job wasn't done. They had a lot of concerns, and especially Mary Ellen, one of the commissioners, she's the one that raised so many concerns, and she was almost having a dialogue with herself. I mean, I don't want to talk bad about our Planning Commission, but I know that they can do better. I know that they can. And what's the harm in kicking this back to the Planning Commission for them to do their due diligence? I'm not so excited to hit any voting button here. This is going to set the precedent for our city. We can't go back. So let's get it right. My God.
Mr. Mayor, we have a motion and a second on the floor.
Yeah, I have a final comment though. You know, I guess you know, my final comment is, you know, things are, no matter what you think, you know, things are not always, they're never as good or as bad as you think they're going to be. You know, like I said, personally, I don't like this project at this location. I don't like the MU1 zoning. I think yeah, I think we can do better. But you know, we do have. Yeah, I'm one of 5 votes, and I respect the majority. So at this time, let's vote.
We're voting on the project?
We're voting on a motion. Yep.
Oh.
You can abstain if you want.
Well, no.
Okay.
The motion for item number 5 passes 3-2.
Okay. Thank you. All right, congratulations. All right, next on the agenda is, hold on.
So we're not kicking this back to the Planning Commission? Oh.
All right, next on the agenda is council member items for future consideration.